Welcome to Not Entirely Unlike Tea with Christine Collins. Hey there, it's Christine Collins, and this is a special episode as we wind down the year to reflect back a little bit on a goal that perhaps did not quite come into fruition that you hoped would have done. And as we explore this, I encourage you to do it through a lens of gentleness, because those of us who tend to be introspective, intuitive, highly reflective can often fall into beating up on ourselves for the things that we didn't do. So this is going to guide us through that with a lot of self-care, as well as looking at it objectively and with an eye towards the future and how we might recreate that goal with an identity story that can help us to be more successful in future endeavors. We'll also take a look at neuroplasticity and how we can shift things in our behavior patterns that perhaps frustrate us in order to have more success going forward. And this is a special episode because it is actually a portion of a free training on identity stories and neuroplasticity. And I hope that it helps you to wind down your year in a constructive, positive outlook so that you can move forward with optimism and eagerness going into the next year. It's a good time to just pause briefly here and ask you, what was your big goal or vision or plan that you had? What was the thing you hoped to accomplish or bring out into the world? And do you remember what it felt like when you first conjured that idea? Can you kind of tune into that energy, however briefly? A lot of times when we lose momentum on a goal or a project, we are actually disconnected from the original vision that we had, and we've lost touch with that excitement that we had. Has anything changed? So since you first created that goal, that vision, has anything changed? And sometimes that vision will change a little because now you are better informed. You have already walked the path a little bit in terms of being able to see what didn't work in relation to it. And even if you never got started on the goal, that's really good information too. So it's brilliant to be able to look and gather these insights, because now it gives us the opportunity to truly up-level and update that vision. As you tune into your own incomplete or unfinished goal or dream, do you notice anything rising up like frustration, anger, disappointment? I know for myself, sometimes I'll feel either disappointed or upset or even embarrassed, like I don't even want to tell anyone or even admit to myself that I'm feeling that disappointment. So don't worry, because we're not going to be staying stuck here on this feeling. It's really just taking a little moment to recognize the emotional response, no matter how small. And in doing so, in that allowing, we are acknowledging the little part of us that may still be carrying grief or disappointment and allowing it to be heard rather than suppressed so that we can truly move forward. So if you haven't already done something like this, I also suggest making a little list of everything that you have gotten done this year, anything noteworthy for you. It doesn't have to be business related. It's just a matter of recognizing what your time actually did go into, and it's perfectly valid if it was things like taking care of your health or your home or your family. Maybe something like managing meals in a brand new way or making a small improvement somewhere in your life. It can be so easy for us to forget the things we did do or did finish. So make sure that you are recognizing your accomplishments at the same time that you're acknowledging the pieces that didn't get completed. And those big sweeping achievements are no more important than the small but consistent things that we do. So make sure that you give yourself that recognition for that as well. So I'm curious to know, what do you think is the reason for things not going as you had hoped? Was it something external, something that's happened around you? Something in your environment, something in the world at large, something to do with other people, their decisions, they were distracting you, they were needing you? Was it lack of resources or lack of support? And it can certainly be more than one of these. You might think that it was because of procrastination, like your mind going in too many directions, or a fear of judgment, or perfectionism, or just inability to even get started in the first place. Or maybe it was an overcommitment to too many different things. While it's fine to kind of notice and observe if you think these are some of the things that played a role, I also encourage that gentleness, that you go easy on yourself. We can objectively observe the moments that maybe we would do over without all of that self-shaming about what that means about us as people. And this is the part where there's often a story tucked in there. And I would like to propose that we call it an identity story. Identity stories are about ourselves, but stretch further than just something really general about the world, like money doesn't grow on trees. An identity story is something like, I never get it right, or I always come up with brilliant ideas but never follow through. So if you're carrying something like that around, you are absolutely not alone. And one in particular that I see really often is along the lines of, well, so-and-so can make that work, but I can't. Or if I only had blank, then I could do it. So it's kind of like they can have it, but I can't, or it works for other people, but not for me, or it's always in the future, but it's never coming now. Our identity stories actually create our behavior and our habits. And the way that we behave and make choices and do things habitually then affects our environment and the world around us and our outcomes. Our reticular activating system in the brain will kind of zoom in on features in our environment that reflect or match our primary focus or belief, and actually cause us to notice those things more. So we notice things largely based on what we focus on or believe. And that belief then dictates our behavior, which has a really big effect then on the external world and how it relates back to us. So for example, if we're walking around with the belief that I am a person who makes sales from my offer posts or emails, then the actions we perform will line up based on that belief and will behave in a manner befitting someone of that identity story. In contrast, if we have an identity story of I am a person who always gives away too much for free, or I am someone who never makes sales, then we also tend to act in a way that corresponds to that belief. And what's even crazier is that that lovely reticular activating system will also continue to seek out confirmation of our existing belief, so that the more we believe it and put our focus there, the truer it actually gets. So identity stories are shaped like this. I am someone who... And you could play with an identity story like, I'm someone who gets things done. Or if that feels like too much of a stretch, we could just do something really simple and go with, I'm someone who loves the color green. So now you can just imagine for a little moment that this is your new identity. I am someone who loves the color green. And then have a look at what things might follow from that. What behaviors might follow if this identity story were true. If that was your identity, when it's time for you to select a pen or choose a game piece or buy a new notebook or a new mug, you might be choosing green things. And in performing those behaviors, it directly translates into the world around you and your experience in your home. Things will suddenly be more green everywhere. People will be buying you green things because you are carrying and living out that identity story. And they are actually more pliable than we realize. The cool thing is, thanks to neuroplasticity, we have a gorgeous opportunity to design and adopt new identity stories anytime we want to. And when you change an identity story, it can have huge tsunami-like waves that will continuously ripple out into your behaviors, into your choices, and ultimately into the experience that you have. So for example, you could ask yourself, what identity are you carrying in relation to not getting this goal done? What are you telling yourself about yourself? So is it something only other people can have? Is it always in the future, just a smidge out of reach? Does it feel like it's just a tiny bit impossible? Or has it come to mean something about you, something that doesn't feel good? For example, I never finish things. I always overthink things. I never have a good strategy. I always let the ball drop. I will never be as good as blank. No one will ever buy this. And one thing I notice across all of these examples is that it tends to be very all or nothing thinking, using language like always or never or no one. And then the other noteworthy sign where you're trying to catch out this belief is that it just feels bad. It's not very constructive. It'll sound very bullying, something that you would never say to someone else. Now we know that our habits and behaviors will follow this identity story that we have about ourselves. And when you change that identity story in the sense of I am a person who, then the habits to make it real will follow naturally. So let's look at, what do you wish it to be? So some examples here could be things like, I am a person who is successful. I am a person who meets my goals, who gets what I want, who is loved and supported, who can find a way. Or you can get more specific and do things like is earning X dollars, is serving X clients, or is experiencing something specific. This only needs to be a slight up level. It can be a very small shift. It doesn't have to go from 0 to 100. So if the old belief was, I never can do this, then your up level may be, there's a chance that I could do this. I'm open to the possibility that I could do this. So notice yourself now allowing for the possibility that this new belief is actually viable, that it's possible. From that door being completely closed with the word never, now you've cracked the door open just enough to let the light in. The next time you're out there taking action, the action will be that much more potent, that much more powerful. It will influence your magnetism and the way that you interact in the world, and it'll help to up-level your behavior and your choices accordingly. Neuroplasticity is grown between repetition, relaxation, and emotional intensity. The brain loves repetition for building a new neural pathway. But when it comes to these new stories that we're creating, it can be a challenge to remember to walk around all day whispering to yourself about this new identity story. So it really helps to have a reinforcement tool to kind of put your up-leveled beliefs on repeat and maybe even enhance them and take you to that next level that you're wanting. And this is just one of many reasons why I love recorded hypnosis, because being recorded helps with that repetition side of building new neural pathways. And hypnosis has a well-proven record for helping with things like behavior change, trauma, anxiety. You'll often hear it touted for helping to change habits like smoking and eating, as well as helping with physical pain and enhancing performance. And the beautiful thing about hypnosis is that it includes a specific series of statements surrounding the new identity that you're building. It's also much easier to form new neural pathways when we're in the deeper brainwaves of alpha and theta, which are like a twilight in between being awake and being asleep. In those deeper states, new neurons are more easily formed, existing ones are renewed, and the old discarded ones will fade. And we can get into those deeper brainwaves using tools like hypnosis and yoga nidra. So when you put those two elements together, one, having that repetition of that specially crafted message as a recording, while at the same time, two, being in that deeper brainwave, you get the benefit of both together. And this is where having a built-in mindset tool like hypnosis being available on demand really reaches the deeper levels of your subconscious to help you create that new neural network. When I am designing hypnosis that go into my Hypno-Pothecary, I focus on how to best optimize the wiring of those neural pathways for your success and for your desired goal. So what is it that you're moving towards? What is it that you deeply desire? And then I use all the power in my training, my master's in hypnosis, neurolinguistics, language, psychology, all my years of understanding human behavior through counseling, through neuroscience, in order to craft the perfect message that can speak to your subconscious so that you can up-level that belief that's tied to your desires and goals. When you're relaxed down into those deeper brain waves, things are more clay-like, where we can mold and optimize those internal stories more easily. Hypnotherapists use language in a very specific way, accounting for decision styles, thinking patterns, even things like tone and inflection are highly specific to subconscious communication. And then I polish it. I add in a touch of soothing binaural music just to make it a really gorgeous journey. I have a collection of already existing hypnosis audios on a big variety of topics. Everything from what we talked through today with achieving goals and getting results to things like boosting your confidence, health and wellness, stress and overwhelm, sleep and eating, relationships, creativity. There are a lot of choices. And each one is a full recorded hypnosis session that guides you along a beautiful journey and lays those tracks to build the new neural pathways for whatever the goal or desire or focus of that hypnosis. And they will range in length from 12 to about 20 minutes, so it's very easy to fit it into your day. You can also become a member of my Hypno-Pothecary, which is a monthly membership that gives you access to listen to the entire collection through an online portal. And it includes all of my hypnosis audios in that collection, as well as yoga nidra. There are some EFT tapping videos, and there are some other mini meditations and visualizations. And of course, all of the details for this are always available in the show notes of every podcast episode. And I hope you found this to be very helpful as you wind down your year and reflect on your goals and your accomplishments. And until the next time we connect, I wish you the most magical and creative rest of your day. Thanks for listening. This is Christine Collins at transformcreate.com.